Hello there, I'm Kari. Thanks for joining me today. For practice, I recommend that you have at least a blanket and potentially a block. The theme of this day's class is to focus on nourishing the heart. So we'll be doing some heart openers, some gentle back bends. As always, I just recommend that you do what feels good in your body. For me, sometimes heart openers can feel really vulnerable, but at the same time also very nourishing. So just go into them as much as you want to. Take time to notice how it feels in your body, and I hope that you'll leave the class feeling more energized and joyful, and that it is really a nourishing practice. So we'll get started today on our backs. Come to lying down, and if it feels okay in the lower body, I'd recommend taking Supta Baddha Konasana, so soles of the feet together, knees out wide. Otherwise, you can just leave your soles of the feet on the mat, knees bent up towards the ceiling. Your knees can knock in together. But find a posture that feels good for you and try to stay with it. And then wherever you're at with the legs, I'd recommend taking one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And allow yourself the opportunity to really settle in here. With one hand on the heart, one on the belly, you can start to notice your breath as it ebbs and flows. Chest rising and falling, belly rising and falling. And start to tune into the rhythms of your breath. And initially noticing if you can tune in without changing anything. And just take a couple more natural breaths here. And then notice if you could start to lengthen out the breath. Drawing in the inhales a little bit longer and making them a little bit fuller. And exhaling, softening, lingering on the letting go. 2 more rounds of breath just like that. Deeper, more expansive. Exhales, allowing you to soften the body more. And then take your hands to the outsides of your thighs if you're in Supta Baddha Konasana. And just assisting yourself in bringing the knees back together. Now walk the feet out a little bit wider than hip width apart. And start to gently just windscreen wiper the knees side to side. Just rinsing out the spine a little bit, moving slowly with the breath here. And then after you finish this next round, draw the knees up into your chest, giving yourself a nice big hug, rounding through the spine, tucking the chin. And then option to roll over to one side to make your way to all fours, or you can rock and roll yourself up. Crossing over the ankles, coming into a tabletop position. Take a moment here to set yourself up well. So this is a pose we come to often. Drawing the navel in, but cinching it around the waist. Nice flat back here. And then making sure that the wrists stack underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Keep the same sensation of cinching it around the waist. And then we're going to do a little scapula push-ups here. So it's sort of similar to a cat-cow, not quite, but similar idea in the heart here. So what we'll do, instead of incorporating the whole spine, you're going to press the floor away and puff up the upper back. So spread the shoulder blades apart. And then on the inhale, you'll drop the heart collarbones forward, more like a cobra type position. So press the floor away and then drop the heart down. It's okay if your back gets into it a little bit, but try to really focus on the movement of the shoulder blades here, pressing away and then squeezing the shoulder blades together, heart drops. Press away. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together. One more. Press the floor away, spread the shoulder blades. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together. Good, now come back to a neutral spine and just take a moment to notice. Something simple that already generates heat and energy around the heart. And then draw your left knee in a little bit closer to center, so just bump it over a few centimeters. I recommend being on the ball of the foot here, so toes are tucked under, and then right leg reaches behind you. Pause here, notice that your frontal hip points are still facing directly towards the mat beneath you. Belly is still cinching in around the waist, really strong in the abdomen. Now, option to remain here, or take your left arm out in front of you. Now, bend up through the right knee, and then swing this left arm all the way around so that you can catch the top of the right foot. Now, for some of us, that might not be accessible, and that's okay. I'd recommend staying here, hugging this in and shining the heart forward. If you've got something you can loop around your foot like a towel or a scarf nearby, you can grab that. Otherwise, coming into this little balance here. Now, notice that this is our first kind of big heart opener, so you don't have to make it really massive. I'm not going to my fullest expression here, but my focus is on kicking the foot into the hand and then shining my collarbones forward. So heart moves forward. Hold here. One more big inhale. And then gently, without flinging the foot, exhale, right foot still points back behind you, so don't take it down to the mat just yet. If you'd like to come along for the next step, you're gonna exhale and just tap the right knee somewhere near the right tricep. Inhale, send it back. Exhale, crunch it into the side. Inhale, send it back. Last one, exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, send it back. And then right knee meets the mat. Sit back for a moment, child's pose. So hips go back. Take a moment to breathe here and notice. Notice as you're already generating and creating warmth in the body. See if you have found shorter, sharper breath, can you slow it down? And then on your next inhale, making your way back up to a tabletop position. So same thing, other side, cinching around the waist. Your next inhale, left leg reaches back. Now make sure that you're still, frontal hip points are still pointing directly towards the mat. And then option to lift up the right arm. Or maybe reach the right arm around for the top of the left foot. Again, take a variation that suits you. Keep kicking the left foot into the right hand, and then keep bringing the heart forward. Now, again, I'm not taking my fullest expression here because I'm just warming up the body, opening the heart. Keep trying to lengthen out the low back while you're here, creating space in the spine. One more big inhale, and then exhale, gently let that go. And then again, left foot stays back. So keep lifting the left leg if you'd like to. And then exhale, crunch that in towards your left tricep. Inhale, send it back. Just a little core warm up. Exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, send it back. Try to keep stable in the midsection of the body. Exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, send it back. And then exhale, left knee meets the mat. Toes tuck under, hands walk out a little bit further in front of you. Hips press up and back, downward facing dog. Now take a big breath in here. Stay, empty it out. Maybe alternate bending through either knee, creating some space in the backs of the legs. Allowing yourself a few breaths to really settle into the posture. focus here on a long spine, so if that means that your knees have to bend, that's totally okay. If you're still moving, take a couple breaths here in stillness. And then on your next inhale, come high on the toes. Exhale, walk your way forward to your hands. Inhale, half lift. Soften the knees forward, fold on the exhale. Take a couple breaths, let the head hang. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen the spine, collarbones shine forward. Exhale, forward fold. Press down through the heels to inhale and rise all the way up, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, straight back down, forward fold. Inhale brings you up halfway, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, plank pose. Press the floor away here. Again, collarbones shine forward in space, come forward on your toes, lower down the knees, elbows move back to lower all the way down to the mat. Now, take your hands out wider than your mat and come up on the fingertips. Forehead presses into the mat, pubic bone presses into the mat to lengthen out the lumbar spine. Inhale, lift up the heart, wide arm cobra. Exhale, back down to the mat. Two more like that. Inhale, lift up the heart, the head, open up. Exhale, lower back down. Keep lengthening out the lumbar spine as you inhale and lift up. Exhale, lower back down. Hands come next to your ribs, press through tabletop, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, lift your right leg high. Exhale, step your right foot between your hands. Now pause here and make sure that you're not walking a tightrope, but that your feet are hip width apart. And then lower down your back knee, coming into Anjaneyasana. So take a moment here, allow the arms to reach up towards the sky and sink in. Let the hips feel really heavy, not trying to lighten the pose, lift up out of the pose. We're just gonna feel that sensation of really sinking into it to begin with. And now notice what it feels like to scissor the legs together and start to lift up out of the pose. So we'll do that as our arms reach high. And then exhale, come through heart center, sink in, maybe take a little back bend to open the heart. Inhale, reach up, scissor the legs together. Exhale, sink in, open the heart. Inhale, reach it up, get active in the legs. Exhale, sink it in. One more, inhale, reach up, active through the legs. Exhale, get heavy in the hips, open the heart. Inhale, arms lift, legs scissor together. Exhale, hands meet the mat, step it back, plank pose. Press the floor away here. Collarbones shine forward, come forward on the toes, option to lower your knees. Lowering down, keeping the shoulders above elbow height, and then inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Soften the neck on the exhale. Another big breath in. Steady on the exhale. Inhale, left leg lifts high. Exhale, step your left foot between your hands. Again, pause to make sure that your feet are hip width apart, and then lower down the back knee. Inhale, reach the arms up heavy in the hips to begin with. Really sink down. Find a position with the legs that feels good to start with. And then with the arms lifted, start to scissor the legs together. So you'll notice that you kind of come up out of the pose. The psoas on the right side activates and lifts you up a little bit more. And then as you exhale, come through heart center. Maybe take a little back bend, sink in. Inhale, lifts you up. Exhale, sink in, little back bend. Inhale, lift. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, open the heart. One more. Inhale, reach high, legs active. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands frame the front foot, that back plank pose. Press the floor away, heart moves forward. Inhale, come forward on the toes. Lowering down, keeping the shoulders above elbow height. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, come forward on the toes and lower your knees down to the mat. Come back and to sit on your heels. Now, if this isn't particularly comfortable for you in the knees, you can take a blanket underneath your hips or under your knees, even anything to kind of prop yourself up and support yourself. We're going to move through a variation of camel just a couple times. And again, I would encourage you to not go into like the fullest expression of this posture. Just go into maybe like 50% for yourself today. Later on, we'll move into camel and you'll get to try it out a little bit more, see if you can open it up a little bit more. But this first one's just kind of to flow through it and feel what it feels like. So what we'll do is we'll lift up the hips and continue to think about lengthening out the sacrum. So pubic bone and belly button get closer together, and we're gonna incorporate a twist. So you're just gonna reach up, reach for your left heel with your left hand, or anywhere, it can even be low back. Right arm will reach over, and you'll come back through center to kneel again on the exhale. And you'll inhale, lift up, twist over to the other side. Exhale, back to center. So let's try that. Again, think about lengthening out the low back and just opening up through the heart. This one's a really flowy one that's just meant to feel good. So inhale, right arm reaches overhead. Exhale, come through center. Inhale, open up, left arm reaches over. Exhale, come through center. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, pause in center. Inhale, left arm reaches overhead. Exhale, pause in center. One more time each side. Inhale, open up the right side body. Exhale through center. Inhale, open up once more. Exhale, back to kneeling. Take a moment to pause there. Maybe take your hand to your heart, notice your heartbeat. Or palms just open in the lap. And then as you're ready, blink open the eyes, walk the hands out in front of you, tuck under the toes to lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Soften the jaw on the exhale. Hips reach up and back, inhale. Soften the heart, exhale. Inhale, your right leg lifts high. Exhale, step your right foot behind your right wrist. So maybe even a little bit wider than hip width apart. Spin down the back foot so that you're coming into a warrior one stance. For me, I like my warrior one to be quite wide in the legs. So press down through the right foot to stand up, warrior one. And take a couple breaths just to settle in here. Notice if you can keep lengthening out the sacrum. Now take the hands and reach behind you to clasp them at your low back. Can you now point the fist down towards the ground beneath you to open up the heart? So squeeze the shoulder blades together like we did with those Scapula Push-Ups at the beginning. And then notice if you're really puffing out through the front ribs. Can you draw the front ribs a little bit closer together? Lengthen out the spine, open the heart, and then exhale, bow it forward, humble warrior. Keep pressing the fists up towards the sky. Keep melting the heart. And then keep drawing that right hip back in space. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades together. Let the head hang. Neck gets soft. Take a breath in. Linger on the exhale. Another big breath in. Exhale, gently release the hands. Take them out towards the front of the mat, and then wiggle your right foot in a little bit. Come to the ball of the back foot, and then you're going to send your weight into your right foot and kind of take this little flamingo tuck pose just for a moment. Let the head go, and then place the left foot next to the right, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out the spine. Exhale, fold. Press down through the heels to inhale, stand all the way up, reaching the arms overhead. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, collarbones shining forward. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, plank pose. Option to go straight to downward facing dog, or you can press the floor away, collarbones forward, come forward on the toes, maybe lower the knees, coming down into a low push-up, keeping the shoulders above the elbows. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, your left leg lifts high. Exhale, step it outside your left hand or near your left wrist. Spin down the back foot to somewhere around a 45-degree angle. Press through the left heel to inhale and rise all the way up. Warrior one. So take a couple breaths here to settle in and find your version of warrior one. Notice if you're clenching through the jaw or feeling any anxiety about where this pose is going next. And then reach the hands around behind your back to clasp them together. Try to take the opposite grip from what you did last time. Draw the shoulder blades together on the back side of the body. Notice if you've puffed out the front ribs and knit them back together, and then fist point towards the ground. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, humble warrior. Let the head get heavy and hang down. Keep pulling the left hip back in space. Keep opening through the heart. Take a big breath here. Soften on the exhale. Another big breath in. Gently release the hands on the exhale. Walk them out a little further in front of you. Wiggle that left foot in a little bit just so that it's more hip width apart. Come to the ball of the back foot and then pour your weight into your left foot. Tuck into this little flamingo type pose. And then exhale, right foot meets left for a forward fold. Inhale, halfway, brighten the collarbones. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Maybe reach the arms overhead, maybe take a back bend at the top. Exhale, back through center, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands plant, plank pose. Press the floor away, heart moves forward. Exhale, come forward onto your toes. Lowering down. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And big breath in. And exhale, empty it out. Inhale, come forward on the toes, lowering the knees back down to the mat, and then coming to sit on your heels again. Now we're gonna come into camel pose, and we'll do this 3 times. So feel free to start out with kind of building into it. So the first one will come up. I'm gonna tuck my toes under. And again, if this is a lot on the knees, take a blanket or something underneath. And then first things first, Just make sure that you're still lengthening out the low back. So we want to focus on the belly button and the pubic bone coming closer together. So you've got a lot of length here and you're not crunching in on the low back. And then I'm going to support my low back on this first one. So draw the shoulder blades together. Heart moves forward and opens up a little bit, but then knit the front ribs together. So keep that sensation of drawing in around the midline still. And then simply just lean the heart back a little bit in space. It's okay if your thighs start to lean back as well. Just find a version of it that works for you. Keep drawing the shoulder blades closer together on the back side of your body. Keep lengthening out the low back. One more big breath in. Stay on the exhale. And then inhale, use the strength of your legs and your abdomen to come back up, supporting your low back there. Now, next one, feel free to take that variation again if that feels really good in your body and it's what you need. I'm gonna, on this next one, start to reach back for my heels. So, because I prefer it this way, I'll keep my heels up. You can untuck the toes, and we'll go through it another time, so maybe you'll choose to untuck the toes on the last one. So start in the same way, wherever you're at. Belly button and pubic bone get closer together. Squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back side of the body. Knit the front ribs together, and then start to lean back this time, so that you can release the hands to reach for the heels. So this just gives you a little bit more space. Now keep drawing the shoulder blades closer together to open up the heart. And then if you want to press through the thighs, you can. It's not necessary. Keep lengthening out the low back. Keep knitting the front ribs together. One more big breath in. Hands support the low back. And then use the strength of your legs to come back up. This time sit down on your heels to take a break for a moment. Maybe close down the eyes. And take a moment to notice how that feels. If you want to stay with the variation you just took. If you want to take a step back. And then just notice the warmth and the energy moving through your spine, through your heart. On your next inhale, we'll come back up and take one more. So I'm going to tuck my toes under again, support my low back, cinching around the waist, belly button and pubic bone get closer together, draw the shoulder blades back, and then begin to lean back in space. Reaching back for the heels, drawing the shoulder blades closer together, and opening up through the heart. One more big inhale here. Come to support the low back, and then using the strength of your legs, come forward. Sit back on your heels for a moment. Maybe close down the eyes and take a couple breaths there. Blink open the eyes, and if you've got a blanket, grab it. And you're going to come to sit on the edge of your blanket, if you'd like. It's not necessary. You're going to take your left leg underneath you here. So just bending up through the knee. Left sole of foot somewhere near my right glute-ish. And then right leg crosses over, finding a position so that the right sole of the foot can comfortably sit on the ground. And then take a moment to notice your sit bones. If they're grounding down into the earth or the prop beneath you, find a spot where they are. And then lift up, lengthen out through the spine first. So grow a little bit taller here. Take your left arm to hook around your right knee. And then walk your right fingertips behind you. Keep growing taller through the spine and then twist from the thoracic spine, maybe looking over your right shoulder. Keep shining the heart forward. See if you can lengthen on the inhales and twist and soften in on the exhales. On your next inhale, come back to center and then wiggle your right foot across so that you're coming for Gomukhasana or cow face. So my knees are stacking one over the other here. Now your feet can be out a little bit wider, tucked in more. Knees don't have to stack perfectly, that's okay. And then again, ground down through the sit bones. Grow a little bit taller out of the spine. Maybe this is enough for you, or maybe you want to start to walk forward and fold over the knees a little bit. And let the hips get heavy here. Take one more big inhale. Get a little softer on the exhale. And then inhale, start to walk yourself back up. Just for a moment, send the legs out long. Maybe shake them out a little bit. Just notice as you bring blood flow back to these areas. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So this time, right leg crosses underneath, right foot comes somewhere near your left glute. And then left leg crosses over the top. Left sole of the foot finds a place comfortably on the mat. It can walk out a little bit further in front, that's totally okay. Ground down through the sit bones. Lengthen out through the spine. And then hug your right arm somewhere around left knee. It can be just your right hand. Walk the left fingertips behind you. And then grow a little bit taller out of the spine so that you can twist. Maybe your gaze goes over your left shoulder. It's not necessary. Just an option. Maybe close down the eyes. And think about growing a little bit taller on the inhales, twisting, softening in on the exhales. One more big inhale. Stay, soften the sides of the neck on the exhale. And then inhale, make your way back to center, coming for Gomukhasana legs on the other side. So wiggle that top knee, your left knee across, left ankle crosses over the body a little bit more. And then same thing, lengthen out through the spine. Notice that your pelvis is tipping forward instead of rounding through the pelvis. And then if you'd like to, you can walk the fingertips forward, fold out over your legs. Keep the hips really heavy here though. I'm only here for just a few breaths. And on your next inhale, begin to walk the hands in. Remove the blanket beneath you and set it off to the side. If you don't have a block, you'll want to just fold up the blanket so that you can support your sacrum with it. So either have your blanket or your block nearby, and then come to lie on your back. We'll briefly just take a supported bridge posture. Little gentle inversion to nourish the heart. Again, grab your blanket or your block. Soles of the feet press into the mat. Knees are bent, facing up towards the ceiling. Inhale, lift up the hips just to slide your prop underneath your sacrum. And then stay here to soften in for a few breaths. Allowing the blood flow to reverse briefly. Letting gravity help in the process of nourishing the head and the heart. Now, option to stay here if this feels really good. You could take this instead of Shavasana. If you'd like to come into a traditional Shavasana, gently lift the hips up. Take your prop out, set it to the side, and then lengthen out the legs. Take a moment to bring special attention and awareness to your heart, to the backs of your shoulders, and allow that space to get really heavy on the mat. Let the jaw and the neck get soft. And then just let the breath go, allowing yourself to breathe naturally. And I invite you to stay a little bit longer in this posture, linger as long as you can, enjoying the stillness. Thanks for joining me for our practice today.